Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. It is April the 2nd, 2024, and I'm here with my beautiful co-hosts, and that is Pia and Cullen, our interstellar communicators with the cosmos, and they're here today, and we're here to talk about what's going on planet Earth, what's happening, and how we're navigating these intense, can I say intense times? Oh my God. How are you today, Pia and Cullen?
We are here.
We're surfing whatever's going on.
Mm-hmm. We're definitely surfing the waves, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. So I was sitting here this morning and looking at, what is the energy that we're speaking to, and we always come in organically, and we talk about what's up. But I also want to say that this is the most unpredictable time that we're in, like the most unpredictable. And how do we act and behave in this time with so much unpredictability, so much change going on, so much going on? How do we act and behave? I think this is a good way for us to start.
Well, one thing that Cullen and I have figured out and have been counseling others with, which seems to be helpful, is to have absolutely no expectations. Don't expect this moment to be like the last moment. Don't expect that what you did last time that worked is going to work this time. Don't even expect that the person that you live with is going to do what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. No expectations. What? You changed your mind? Cullen has lots of practice on that one.
I think P is absolutely right. We can no longer rely on history. We cannot wish nor hope that not only are things not going to go back to the way they were, at this point, the sense of chaos, the sense of absolute new territory is so huge that we can't even compare what we used to be or used to do with what we need to be and how we need to do what we do now. It's a completely different game. It's a completely different atmosphere. And we have to be not only creative, we have to be more willing to be changeable in the flow of what's happening and simply living moment by moment, day by day, week by week, because I don't think we can make plans anymore. Pia and I used to know what we were going to do in 5 years professionally. We knew what hotel, what conference center, what state, what country, what city we would be speaking in. We had to let go of that years ago. And now we can't even plan 6 months in advance. It's impossible.
Sometimes we can't even plan one day in advance. Here's a little example. A lot of people have been writing to us or calling us saying, I've lost interest in food. What's going on with this? I'm not interested in food at all. And we, of course, have had that off and on for years. But today, when I woke up, I said, Cullen, I don't think I'm going to eat today. I'm just going to fast all day and drink green juices. I think that's what I'm going to do. By 2 o'clock, it was, I'm hungry. I want to eat. I want to fix something. He didn't even say, what? You changed your mind? He just said, okay. Tried to turn the stove on the way that we turn the stove on every day. It took me 4 times to get it to work. Nothing worked. It's going through everything, how we feel physically in our body, our direct environment in our home, the electrical appliances, appointments, when people say they're going to be there and don't show up or get confused about timing. You name it, it goes out from the microcosm all the way to the macrocosm, as large and far as you want to go.
It's so true about all of that. I'm feeling that too. And, when you're talking about, especially right now, since we're in this eclipse time period, in this, I think that April is probably the biggest, most intense month of this year. Not that I know what the other months are looking like, but I'm just feeling the intensity of change and everything that's happening here. And the amount of grace that we have to, when I say have to, it would be nice if we did. If we offered each other this grace, because like you said, people not showing up when they're supposed to, people changing their mind, all the things with electronics and whatever else going on. And, so not to have those expectations, because everyone is going through this change. And if we have the expectations that people are going to show up and then they don't show up, and then where does that leave us and whatnot? So I think the amount of grace that we can extend to ourselves and each other at this point in time is so important.
Absolutely.
We would agree with that completely.
Absolutely. Relationships are frayed at this point. I don't really make a distinction between a personal relationship, a business relationship, a familiar relationship. It seems that everybody is so stressed at this point for so many different reasons that the triggers that are being unintentionally brought up, and they could be intentional in some ways, but the energy that is so strange is causing people to forget that compassion, empathy, kindness really are the top of the list for how we should be living our lives, how we should be dealing with other people. And we see people lashing out. We see people doing things that probably they don't really want to be doing, but they're reacting to their stress level instead of responding, instead of taking a breath and simply saying to themselves, okay, I'm going to breathe here and I'm going to think about, mull over what just happened, and I'm going to not react in a defensive mode. I'm going to simply take in what's happening and maybe be a little bit more aware of what's going on. And it's tremendous. I mean, people are really, really having a hard time simply being civil in some ways. And we can see this interpersonally. We can see this societally. We can see this internationally between nations. As Pia said earlier, it's from the microcosm all the way out to the macrocosm. And of course, there are many, many reasons. You mentioned the eclipse season a moment ago. We just entered Mercury retrograde, 24 or 36 hours
yesterday
ago. And we are in the eclipse season. We had a partial lunar eclipse about a week ago. We're going to have a tremendous, complete solar eclipse on April 8th, which is next Monday.
And tomorrow we begin the Pleiadian Earth energy shadow cycles, where all kinds of triggers are provided by the universe for us to turn challenges into opportunities. So humanity is a place where we may be feeling it individually, but we've got to act collectively to make some big choices moving forwards.
That's why when I was sitting here this morning and I was looking at the month of April and what's ahead and the feeling that I have about, the intensity of the moment of where we're at right now, how do we act and behave to create the best outcome, right? How do we act and behave? And that's the piece. And that's the awareness we want to bring today, is what we can do to create our best outcomes for ourselves and for each other, right? So how do we act and behave and really, come at it again from our most conscious, from our spiritual integrative self that is aware and not projecting the blame game. Like you were talking about, Cullen, everybody is kind of reacting and people are feeling the intensity and the stress level and all that. And that's true. And everybody is looking to blame someone for this, whatever is happening, like blame, 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 blame. And that's not where we want to be. We don't want to be in the blame. We don't, because that also lowers our vibration.
Absolutely. That is an entirely important point that I think we can discuss for a minute or so. Our Pleiadian friends who bring such wisdom to humanity, to Earth, have talked about this very issue of when we're feeling our worst, when we're having the hardest time, that is absolutely the time to be more compassionate, to be kinder, to use more empathy outwardly to others. Because when we're having a tough time, if we bring our vibration up during a time where we're just struggling, not only are we helping ourselves first, but that compassion, that lack of judgment, that helps everyone around us. So what the Pleiadians say is, we do more work, we do better work when we're not doing very well ourselves, and we project in a positive way a higher vibratory energy out. And that not only affects the people closest to us in our environment, but it ripples out into the universe, into the cosmos, and it does make a difference. So I think people need to understand that even if we're having a tough time, if we can muster the courage, if we can pull ourselves out of an energetic slump and do something nice for someone else, it will make more difference in that kind of situation than it would if we were having a great time. And it may sound backwards, but it's not. It really does make a difference.
Well, I feel like that is how we're changing the world with, with what Pia was talking about also, with that we're entering that shadow period. And it is in the shadow when we're triggered, or when there's something in the shadow that wants to reveal itself to us, so that we can see it, so that we can acknowledge it, and that we can, that we can bring light into it. And so then we're the alchemists, and we're the ones that are shifting that shadow and bringing it into the light, and, again, creating a better outcome for ourselves. Because even though we were so uncomfortable in the shadow, because it's not a fun place to be, especially right now, since we are so much more aware of who we are, and we're so much more sensitive, and we can feel all the things. I know, like, what I was experiencing was, I just wanted to, like, run away from it as fast as I could. That's how I felt. I was looking at the energy, and I'm going, "Oh, this just feels so uncomfortable. I just want to run away from it. I do not want to sit in this." That was the feeling I had, right? And even acknowledging that, I don't want to. It's human. It's human. It's okay. But then still sitting with it, not running from it, not masking it, not trying to push it away, but going, okay, I'm here in this. I'm with this.
It's time in our human evolution to stop masking, stop falsely thinking that we can escape our shadow, that we can escape what we don't want to look at in our own makeup. And it's become ever more obvious that as things get more challenging, more chaotic, we're going to be hit with more challenges, more obstacles in our path. And if we don't do what you just explained, by actually looking at whatever's going on, not avoiding it, not running away from it, we all want to scream and run. There's no doubt. It is human. You're absolutely right. However, in these shadow periods, we're given the opportunity to do just the opposite. We're given the opportunity to shine a light in the darkness. And I'm speaking of the darkness within each of us, because we're not all light. We are an amalgam. We are a combination of dark and light. And our job is to shine as much light into ourselves and look at what we might not like, we might not really appreciate, but having to realize that it is part of our makeup. And it doesn't really matter where it came from. It doesn't matter if it's a childhood trauma, a parallel life trauma, an everyday ongoing trauma, somebody at work that's bullied at the coffee and water stand in the office. We need to step up and take a look at what's going on, and instead of running, do something about it.
Absolutely. That is what is shifting and changing and creating a better world. And it's also our responsibility to step up and shine the light in the midst of the most uncomfortable challenges. We could look at the world, we could look at the way the division of what's happening in the world right now, because there's a lot of division that's happening, and a lot of things that are so toxic that it's our relationship to it, right? Our relationship to, like, being in the most toxic relationship with a narcissist or whatever. We could look at it that way, microcosm, macrocosm, like Pia said. And how do we want to show up in this relationship as the masters that we are, as the light bringers that we are, as the transformers that we are? How do we want to act and behave towards each other? What kind of world do we want to create? Because we volunteered for this. We came for this, right?
We did. It's just possible that we didn't look at all the fine print on the back of the contract.
Oh my God, I know we didn't. I know we didn't look at the fine print. I know we did not look at the fine print, because I would have certainly wanted to write a few things in there and say, listen, let's make sure we have this covered. Okay. Let's make sure we have this covered, because I thought about this many times. Like, how could you just, jump in and go, yeah, let's go. And, it's really interesting. The fine print, isn't it?
It is. It's amazing. We're being given the opportunities to be the best people we can be, even in the face of all the adversity that's going on. There was a scene in the movie Starman. I believe it came out in 1980, long time ago. I really liked that movie. It was really an interesting thing to show what people from other other areas of the universe are like and how they view us as humans. And near the end of the movie, there was a scene where the Starman said to the authorities, one thing I really like about what I see in humanity is when you are at your worst, you seem to help each other more and more. You seem to be more unified. You seem to be more able to realize that we're all in this together and simply be more helpful. That little scene really has stuck in my mind. That's 45 years ago. And I think that's what we're talking about right now.
I think the challenges that we're going through, that we're all experiencing, feeling, watching, I think all of these are prodding us to reach that point that Starman said in the movie so long ago. You're at your worst, band together, make a change collectively, because helping each other is what's going to take you out of this worst case scenario. I think that's where we.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what we want. We want, we want to be able to help each other. We want to be able to have community. We want to be able to. And so we do it, like you said, at a time when we're the most challenged, which also requires that we're open and vulnerable to our own challenges, even, I didn't share this the last time. I shared this privately with you two. But, on February the 2nd of 2024, my parents lost their home in a house fire and everything changed, and 84 and 89. And that happened then. And on March the 7th, my beloved car that I've had for 20 years, well taken care of car, still very good driving car, amazing car, was vandalized. And that happened on March 7th. On March 14th, my computer crashed. And so all these challenges all happened at one time. And one could say, somebody asked me, like, what's going on with you? Like, what's happening to you? Like, are you okay? Like, what's the lesson here? What's the lesson here? And, there could be many lessons taken out of this. And also that all our belongings, all those things, none of those things matter. It matters who we are at the core level of our being. That's what matters. And not being attached also is another big piece. Not being attached to, you said earlier, outcomes, like don't know expectations, and not being attached to our relationships. And because our relationships could be gone from one day to the next, it could all be gone. And so what I took away from all of this is that everything in our lives is being upgraded to a higher level. So even, my parents, I'll just say this, I believe, I haven't told them this because it doesn't matter. That part doesn't matter. But I truly believe I'm supporting them to come into the new earth, and receive everything new. Because Arnie lived in his house for 65 years. Now they're living in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment, and it was never lived in before. It's brand new. Everything there is brand new. It's all new. And the computer I'm talking with you from right now, streaming, is new. It's all new. So these are the things. We're all being upgraded, whether it's in our consciousness, in our material possessions, in our relationships. It's an upgrade taking place. We're up leveling. And so it's really interesting to have this much change happen in such a short amount of time, because I can tell you I was numb, to say the least, when it all happened. to try to continue on showing up and being in my light.
Well said.
I think what you're talking about is the absolute understanding that things happen to us, and yet change is the result of those things that happen to us.
Which turns that into things happen for us instead of to us.
So I think we have to reconsider the idea that humans resist change. We don't like change because it has to do with safety. We like routine. We like what we're used to doing. It makes us feel comfortable. It makes us feel safe. However, with too much safety, is there any possible tiny little incremental possibility of growth? If we don't change, are we going to grow? And resisting change, to the way I understand the way things are energetically in our lives, is if we don't change, we don't grow. It's just a simple equation. And the changes that you've just described are horrendous. There's no doubt that I don't think anybody should go through what you've just gone through. It's a lot. It's too much, actually. However, you are here talking on this show, and you're smiling, and we're having a good time with this conversation. You got through it. You're still here, and you're still wanting to continue to grow. And it's just a fact of life. But we do resist it. And I think one of the hallmarks of spiritual growth or spiritual responsibility is to embrace change, because if we embrace it, we don't resist it, and we learn more and more, whether we look back and go, oh, I didn't like that lesson. I mean, what was I supposed to learn during that lesson? I don't think it really matters. I think getting through it is all that matters.
You know, I absolutely agree with everything you said. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was an absolute, yeah, it was a whirlwind. It was a whirlwind is what it felt like. It was so much. And I have to tell you about the generosity of a person here in my community, because it's a miracle, really. So, earlier I was telling you that I was carless, and really, there's more truth to that, because I am driving a car right now that doesn't belong to me. It's a borrowed car that one of the wonderful women in my community here, that lives in my gated community where I live, when she found out that my car was vandalized, my silver car spray painted with red all over it, red paint all over it, she asked me, she said, would you like to drive my spare car? And she said, would you like to drive my spare car? And I said, well, I can't just drive your car. And she said, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And so, again, meaning being vulnerable, being open, right? So we continued on carrying on our conversation. And then when I left her house, she asked me again, would you like to drive my spare car? And I said, okay, I'll drive your spare car, right? So I had to be open and willing to receive the gifts that were coming my way, that were being given to me in that moment. And so this is what I'm driving right now. I'm driving someone else's car, someone else's generosity, helping each other out, which really soothed my soul, because she offered me so much water with her generosity of, here, just like she was not attached. And she said, here, take as long as you need to find your next best car.
Cornelia, we know exactly what you're talking about. And we have also been in positions where one thing after another, after another, after another happened. With us, it didn't happen. It started in February. With us, it started this past December and rolled till March. Crash on this front, crash on that front, crash on that front. And we also had kind-hearted souls saying, let me help you with this. Somebody picked us up, carried us to the car shop in a completely different part of where we live, took care of us, took care of getting the rental car. Somebody else said, let me help you with the rental car. Make sure that you don't have to pay for that since your insurance doesn't cover it. Somebody else said, here, I'm going to help you with all these expenses. Let me help you with everything. And we had to say, thank you, which it's not comfortable being in a position when all these things cascade on you as you're talking about, and you're used to being very self-sufficient and responsible and taking care of everything, and all of a sudden it becomes too much. The lesson becomes, how can I gratefully receive? And that's what you're discussing, is exactly what you're talking about. And we tell other people that now when we talk to them about, it's about exchange. It's about fair and even exchange. What you're giving to the world and what the world gives back to you. What are you helping someone else with because they're helping, someone else is helping you? It's all about exchange.
It's interesting. P and I are the ones who generally are always helping others. We've been lucky or responsible in being able to be in positions where we could help others, many others, and that has changed in our lives. And it's interesting that we never hesitated to help people. But as both of you have just mentioned, when the tables are turned and people want to help us, we're always a little hesitant, like, well, but we don't need help. We help others. And this has been a good lesson for us. I mean, Pia just described this, and
to recognize that everybody needs help at some point.
Yeah, and that it is an equal exchange. And it's a little bit like the idea of paying it forward.
Mm-hmm.
When people have the opportunity to help others, and they do out of a generous heart, I would say almost always it does come back. It does come back. And
But to have no expectations. When you do it out of your generosity of your heart, you just do it. You don't do it because the universe is going to have it pay it back to you some later time. You just do it because it's the right thing. And that's the way Cullen and I have always lived our lives. So now, as it's coming back to us, which we did not expect and which is happening, we are very graciously looking at the other end of the fair exchange. This is fair. This is how to help.
I think it's exactly true, because there's, as givers, helping other people, helping other people, helping other people, most of the time, all of the time. And then there's something out of balance. And here we are, this Libra eclipse, Libra Aries eclipse cycle. And here we are, right? What's out of balance? What hasn't been brought into balance? What needs to be fair and just? What needs to be brought into balance? And like you said, Pia, it being on the receiving end isn't, when you're usually on the giving end of it, it feels weird. Like I when I received the keys to that vehicle and then I drove home, I had to come in here, and because I think I was literally shaking inside my body from like receiving it, because I had felt, I'm still in the grief of all the loss of all the other things and the trauma and all of the things. And then to receive such blessings at the same time, that's again the energy. What are we doing with our energy? Being in pain and bliss at the same time is the best way I can describe it. But you know, being in trauma and then also receiving, like, and like really accepting, like, accept this, accept this, and be grateful about it, you know, feel the gratitude and all of that. It felt weird. It felt
So, Cornelia, one thing that I see this as is it's not that we're only angels in what we give to the world, all of us who are giving in situations from our heart. We also have to recognize the other angels who are present who want to give to us. It's about that balance exchange of recognizing the angelic gift somebody wants to do to support us, as well as feeling responsible for the things that come from our hearts that we do to support others.
Yeah,
It's
and
balance.
it is, and there's another angle here. There's another idea about worthiness. I think many people feel that maybe they're not worthy to be given these gifts or these blessings, and I think it helps us realize that we're all worthy. We're all equally worthy, and that when Pia talks about fair and equal exchange, that very idea, that notion can erase the idea of not being worthy, because we're all worthy. We're all capable of giving and receiving. And both of you have talked about this just now, about balance in that relationship. And I think that's also part of what's happening now in our world. The chaos, the challenges, everything that seems adverse is giving us the opportunity to realize that we are worthy to be helped, and that part of our responsibility is to help and receive equally. And I think that's a pretty foreign idea to many people.
Well, when you think about it, like, you know, with the parents and the house fire, you know, Arnie being 89, a man that's always been in control of his own home and resources, and he's the one giving. Now he was in a place where people are coming from all areas and wanting to help. People that know him in the community couldn't believe that he lost his home. And so, you know, he all he wants to do on a regular basis is say, no, I'm fine, I don't need it. No, I'm fine, I don't need it. No, I'm fine. And my mom and I coming in and supporting him to receive the gifts. Yes, we do. Yes, it's okay. Yes, we do. And so it's that energy. And I think that's what this is. It's really bringing into balance our receiving, because if we can receive when we're the most vulnerable, as Arnie was, as I was in my situation, when we can receive, we are also able to receive energy. And on a more spiritual level is receiving our divine birthright, receiving our gifts, our spiritual gifts, right? Because it's about receiving, isn't it?
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
It is. This takes me back to the Starman idea that I brought up earlier. As the world becomes more unfamiliar to us, as the world changes, as the world seemingly becomes more difficult, what we're talking about right now is going to become more and more important, because more and more people are going to need support. More and more people are going to need others realizing that generosity, it's part of our makeup. It's part of our heart energy. And I think we're going to have to really come together collectively and be willing to help more than we've ever helped before.
And generosity and support does not always equate to money either.
Absolutely not.
Because it's true, sometimes the financial aspect really is helpful. Sometimes somebody just needs a friend to talk to, and it's lending your time and your energy to listen. Sometimes it's giving intuitive support of, I see this, maybe this would be a good suggestion for you. It comes in many, many forms. And we have to put that all in the mix when we figure out what we're giving, what we're receiving. It's all about energy exchange. Money is just one tiny little piece of being supportive. Putting your heart and soul into what you give into the world and to people in need is a bigger piece. And that can involve money or not, but it has to involve heart.
I think Pia is absolutely right. We as a society have pretty much thought of abundance being only connected to money, to finances. And I think we need to understand exactly what Pia just said. Abundance can come in many ways. It can be friendship, it can be support, it can be generosity that has nothing to do with money. It can be any kind of support that makes people feel abundant in many, many different ways. And I think a switch has to happen as society gets harder and harder to negotiate how we do what we do with all the changes that we are experiencing. I think people need to change their understanding of abundance and pull away from the financial understanding of that and really put their thoughts and their hearts into, what else can I do? What else can I provide that's abundant? I mean, there's enough energy for everyone. There's enough everything for everyone. It's just that we have categorized and boxed commodities, money, possessions as what's the most important element in our lives. And I think we need to make that switch into the abundance of love, friendship, and non-financial support.
I think this is huge. I think this is the part for 2024 of where, when you said we need to make the switch, it's that mindset shift to have the realization that we are resourceful. We are resourceful. We are resourceful. And that our resources are going to be abundant in various different ways, coming to us from different ways. And if we can focus then on that, instead of the lack of the finances, the lack of what we're experiencing financially or whatever is going on, because a lot of people, everybody's challenged. A lot of people, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of people are challenged financially. So then we can make that switch and focus on our abundance of resources that we have, and then ask those important questions that you just posed, Cullen. What can we do to open up more in various different ways? And how else can you be in receiving mode of these resources or whatever is whatever you're focusing on? So I think in 2024, this is part of what we are appreciating again.
One of the things that we see that is touching on this most prevalently is in people who are in that category of not being stressed financially. We see two different modes of thought and energy. One of them is the group of people who are absolutely petrified that they're going to lose everything they have. They live in a state of fear, clutching to it because it's all that they can focus on. The other group of people that we see and are connected with plenty of them are the people that say, money's going to go away anyway. It's just a medium of exchange. How can I best use my money in this moment? And they utilize it according to what the need of the moment may be, rather than clinging to, I can't spend an extra dime on anything because I might lose it all. It's a total mindset to move away from fear of the future into trust in the present flow of where we are.
Well, and to a point to what you just said, when people are in fear around their money and hanging on so tight and just holding on, that fear energy, holding on, hoarding, hoarding. That's hoarding of energy, hoarding.
Yeah.
And really that's the root. It's the root, because there's so much hoarding going on. People holding on out of fear that they're going to lose everything.
Yep.
It's the fear that's the root of the problem. And when you, as we go back to the beginning of this conversation, when we talked about what Cullen said about relationship, being in relationship with everything, not just your personal relationships, but your work, relationship with the planet, relationship with money is in there too. It is just a form of exchange. It is not the end all of our worries.
And I think there's a really important feature to this part of our conversation. If the financial system that we're so used to, that's been going on for centuries, comes to a halt or a partial halt, everybody is going to be in the same boat. And that, I think, is what the collective doesn't understand. If there's a huge change financially worldwide, or even in regions of the world, not necessarily the whole world, everybody will have to rely on everyone else.
And that's what the universe is pushing us towards, learning to rely upon and support each other through the spirit of unity, not living out of fear, which is separation.
So if the money stops, and there's so many people around the world that say, yes, it's going to stop. Individuals, financial planners, bankers, many people, governments are saying, this system that we've been working with is failing, and it's not going to continue to go on as it has. If it happens, it won't matter how much any individual or family has in their financial bank account, because they will be reduced to exactly the same class as everyone else. And everybody at that point is going to have to work together, support each other, create the communities that we need. Barter will become a very important element of how we get through this, whether we survive through it, or on the other hand, if we actually thrive through it. If the monetary system breaks, it may be one of the best things that could have ever happened to humanity.
Well, I actually feel that would be the case.
It will make everybody equal. And if everybody's equal, we should be able to create that heaven on earth that we so constantly talk about. If everybody is on the same stratus, the same financial or personal level of having the same everything that everybody else has, it will be the common denominator.
Well, because, when you transition and, you die, or you transition to another place, you go to another place, you cannot take it with you. You cannot take it with you. So the whole point is, do you feel wealthy on a spiritual level? Because that you can take with you. That you can take with you.
Exactly right.
Absolutely.
Spiritual wealth.
Yeah.
I love it.
There was a quote that I heard a long time ago. When J. Paul Getty was the richest man in the world back in the 1920s and 30s, in an interview, he was asked, "Do you have enough money?" And his answer very quickly was, "Not yet." And I thought that was the funniest thing to hear, because this man was the richest man in the world. He was the first billionaire, and there was nobody in his league. He was it. And for him to say, well, no, not yet, I don't have enough yet. How could he possibly have used any more money? It would have been impossible for him to have more money than he had, because he couldn't spend it all the way it was. So if people can step away from that idea that I don't have enough yet, will give them the freedom to realize what you both were just talking about. It's not about money. It's about all the other abundances that we have. And the spiritual abundance is absolutely the highest level of abundance. If we're spiritually balanced, if we are at the point where we're non-attached, we're not greedy, we're not selfish, we have made it to the promised land. And that, at this point in our global society, is absolutely the opposite of being financially abundant.
Doesn't that feel so right, what we're talking about right now, how this organically just came out, everything we're talking about? To me, this, I know we've talked about this. We feel this. It's not about money, because you, as natural givers, as giving, myself included, giving so much that from our generosity, from our heart, giving because we can, because we want to, it's because we love to do it. It's not really, it's never been about the money for us on this level of where we've been operating from. It hasn't been about the money. It's been about generosity and kindness and sharing our gifts. It's been about our love for humanity, for being here now, because again, on this, if I could have written into the contract, right, that we talked about that earlier, the fine print, that was one of my sticking points. That right there, because the ascension timeline has been, my goodness, it's been, I don't want to say the word cruel. That's not the word, but it's been hard. It's been hard. And so I would have loved to have had a little bit more ease with the financial piece, like having like a little reserve bank over here for the people that are doing the ascension work kind of thing, that would have been nice. I would have loved to have written that into the contract that, yeah, go, it's there for you. It's been hard, and here we are. We as a human species we came here to liberate ourselves, this planet, and be free. And we are not free in our current monetary system. We're not free. And so that is the part. So I think what we're experiencing right now Taurus is we're moving into the Taurus energy after, and Taurus is also financial. So we're moving into that Taurus energy after the Aries. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot unfold from what we're talking about here.
Oh, I'm perfectly sure of that. Also, just the movement of Pluto away from Capricorn into Aquarius is, when you mentioned that you believe that 2024 is a benchmark or a starting point for these changes that we're now seeing. That energy of Pluto stepping away from Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. There's so many restrictive elements in that relationship. Moving into Aries, I think, is going to
moving into Aquarius.
Oh, I'm sorry, moving into Aquarius,
which is all about freedom.
So I think truly we're going to see absolute changes in the whole monetary system worldwide.
And we talked about this earlier, that what is the collective feeling right now? What is the collective feeling? What are they experiencing? Because us, who are super sensitive, psychic, empathic souls, we are feeling, we know what we're feeling. And so we are pioneering being okay through this time of challenges, because we are, even though, you know, we don't know, it's everything is uncertain, because we're all choosing. Everyone gets to choose. So
Mhm.
there's that. But I do feel we're pioneering. Just like I said earlier, I do feel that I brought my mom and Arnie over into the new earth, into their new place. And as a pioneer, as an ascension guide, supporting them. When we set them up in their apartment, when I set them up over there, the apartment's never been lived in. And, you know, now they have a brand new TV and a brand new streaming service. So their old service with how they used to watch TV and get all the news and all of that, it's all different now. It's all different. It's all different. They can't get it the same way. And you know how old people are that are from the old world. They want their news, they want their TV, they want all of those things. And now it's a completely different ball game that they had to adjust to. And me sitting with them saying, it's going to be okay. It's all right. Look at this. Look at this instead. Take a look at this. Let's see. You know, it's just how it is. So we are pioneering a new way, and also holding an energy and a vibration, emitting that it's going to be okay, even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's uncertain, even though it's intense. uh, it is.
But we'll get through it.
We are getting through it.
Yeah,
We're
we are
getting
getting.
through every second of every day. And we are grateful for the ability to know that there are other like-hearted people out there who are getting through it with us, because we're here on purpose.
We are here on purpose. Yes, and I'm looking forward to seeing how we're going to navigate, you know, in these next months. I think the month of April, just again, it's probably going to be the whopper of the year, the whopper, like the big one, like triple stacked, right? And so once we get through this month, hopefully we can start having things a little bit lighter and clearer and easier.
Well, for certain, will be different.
Yes. Yes. So, Pia, let's tell everyone how they can get in touch with you via all of your various wonderful tools that you support others with, you and Cullen.
Well, the best place is to go to our website, laarkmaa.com, laarkmaa.com. You'll find books we've written, articles that have been published. You'll find shows that are archived that you can watch. Lots of things that are there for resources. There's how to have a private session with the Pleiadians, either for an evolutionary evaluation or just a conversation to discuss whatever is in your heart. All of these things, our card deck is there, everything is there. I also provide Pleiadian Earth Energy personal astrology charts, and you can find out about those and some of the other services that I offer, like health consultations, things of that nature. You can find those at my website, which is piaorleane.com, piaorleane.com.
Both of our websites are filled with amazing information and amazing resources. We update the websites pretty often, and they're just a ton of interesting things to look at and research. So I think anybody looking into either of our websites hopefully will be surprised, educated, and maybe even excited.
All of your gifts that you've shared. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy to see you. All of your gifts, everything that you've done here on planet Earth, it has been so down to earth and so educational, like you said, and so supportive for our ascension journey. And I appreciate you very much. I want to thank you so much for being part of my life and my world creation here. And I'm so glad about it.
Thank you. And we would say the same to you. This is teamwork. We're all contributing to helping in different ways, achieving hopefully the same basic feeling or idea. We come to it from different places, but we're creating the same unity consciousness.
Yes, yes. Well, it has been an hour of amazing conversation, awesome conversation, liberating and soothing conversation. For those of you that are listening to this show on YouTube, I would so much appreciate if you hit the like button, if you hit the subscribe button, or should I say, smash it, smash it, smash it. And we'll see you all again. We wish you a glorious month of unfolding. We've given lots of tools and insights of how to navigate this month. It's going to be a whopper. And we look forward again to see you again next month. Take good care, everyone. Thanks, Pia and Cullen.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye for now.